right,
Oh, you're recording already?
Yeah, everything's live. Like,
I won't run out.
no, you can't run now. It's too late. What's up, everybody? This is the In the Fire podcast. If you guys could probably tell, this is a bit of a different setup because we've got a guest here, a special guest.
Nervous.
Caroline. And she'll be joining us for this episode. So we are super excited for this episode. But yeah, welcome back. Whether you're listening on Spotify, iTunes, or watching us on YouTube, we appreciate you. We love you. And yeah, check out the TikTok, the YouTube Shorts,
Patreon.
all that.
Love you guys already on it. Check out the Patreon.
Yeah, and if you're watching on YouTube, if I look like this is a mugshot, I promise I didn't get arrested. I promise I didn't get arrested.
You almost did.
We had to pick him
No,
up.
I didn't almost. Don't say that. Don't say that. But what are we talking about today? Why did we bring a special guest? Why couldn't we just do this by ourselves? Why is this special? Why do we need Caro to carry us for this episode?
She's gonna carry us.
We are talking about trusting God with your healing.
Yeah.
Now, I think this episode is probably one of the most important because we live in a broken world and we are all broken people.
Yeah.
And we all have humans as parents and humans as brothers and humans as friends. And so life gets difficult.
And humans are just humans.
And so everybody eventually in their life ends up in brokenness. And we end up needing some healing.
Yeah.
And
or a lot of healing.
A lot of healing for some of us, yeah. Or most of us, yeah. But yeah, so how do we trust God with our healing? How do we get into a mode of, okay, God, here's my healing, or I let you have control over my healing process. Because I think especially us as people, we tend to try to take things into our own hands and find the healing process on our own. And it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like for a lot of us, God is our last resort. It's our moment of desperation, our moment of like, yeah, I've tried absolutely everything and I can't do this anymore. God, I need you. And yeah, so I think we could start off if you want. You could share a little bit of your testimony, a little bit of your past, and we could bounce off that.
Oh,
Oh,
We
gosh.
could all share it, babe. We could all share
we'll
it.
share it.
I'm not going to get too vulnerable, but I will share. I went through a lot with my parents. And growing up with like a big household, I always felt alone. But it was always good. Like they showed me love regardless. But I was just going through so much darkness. Like my relationship with my mom wasn't well. My relationship with my dad wasn't well. And I was searching for attention, like everywhere with my friends, with like relationships. And through my teenage years, I got into a relationship, like one of my serious ones, and that just destroyed my whole world. And I couldn't even see right. I was fighting with my family. I was fighting with my partner. And I just didn't know what to do, where to run. And then it also came to like ugly thoughts, you know, and like suicide stuff. So it was just a lot. So then I finally gave that all to God. And then today I feel so much better.
Dang, she just like the whole thing in 30
The
seconds.
whole
There you
thing.
go.
Listening.
The whole thing.
No,
in 30
I'll break it down. I'll break it down. I'll break it down.
Okay,
But it's like a little thing.
Yeah. Okay.
cool.
So you said you felt alone with a big household.
Yeah.
Like how big are we talking?
Ooh, it was a lot of us. Like when I first came to the country, it was literally the second floor was me, my dad, grandparents, like a few of my cousins. The second floor was my aunt, her husband, like more cousins. So it was a lot of us.
Oh my gosh. So
We were always together.
But with so many people, why did you still feel alone? Or at
Because I
least what do you
didn't
think?
feel seen. Like, you know, when your cousins are older, everyone's in their own little group. So I was a little one. So I was always kind of like casted out, or at least I felt like I was. And I didn't know the language great yet. And then I was also missing my mom. So I was just constantly like in my room crying. I was just so shy as well. So it just always made me just be in my room.
Okay.
I feel like a lot of people can relate with that they feel lonely even when there's people around.
Oh yeah.
That's like the most intense form of loneliness.
I think I shared that on one episode where I said like the darkest periods of my life, I had the most people around me. You know what I'm saying? And so like the amount of people around you does not mean anything. But you said that you got into a relationship. You said that's what spiraled everything.
Yeah, that's when everything just went completely like 360.
Okay. Do you think your childhood played a part in the reason that relationship kind of spiraled things?
Big time.
Okay.
Because I wasn't able to like communicate. Not that I wasn't able to. I just felt like I said I wasn't heard and I wasn't seen. So I never really spoke to my dad too much. He never really asked like, oh, how do you feel? So that kind of like put a block into my communication skills.
Yeah.
So I was never able to communicate myself with my partner, or even if I was feeling angry or sad, like it was just so hard to try to like let it out.
Did you have a lot of friends or no?
I wouldn't say a lot, but I've had my few groups of friends.
Okay.
Few groups of them.
Okay. Okay. That's really interesting. Cause I don't know. That's a lot of people in one household, by the way. And at this point, you didn't know about God.
No. I knew of him, but I didn't experience him. Like I always called out.
You didn't have the relationship.
No, I didn't have the relationship, but I was always like, please God, like, oh God, this, God, that. But I just didn't have the relationship. I didn't really know what he could do.
Okay. Wow. So at what point in your life did you realize I need healing? Like this is, because I feel like you grew up in this sort of situation where it became a normal to you, where you were like, I guess this is just how life goes. Because you never experienced that like brighter, greener side of things. And so to you, it was kind of normal to feel that broken. So what made you be like, okay, this is not normal. I need to like be okay. Wow,
now that you say that, you just brought something to light. Like it makes sense as to why I allowed certain things to happen in my relationship, because I was used to the pain. Like I wasn't used to speaking up. But I think I've had a few moments where I'm like, okay, I need healing. But my biggest one was when I had my suicidal thoughts. And like I didn't try to attempt, but I had something in front of me where I'm just like, I just want to end it. The temptation. So, but that also made me cry out to God. I'm like, why do I not want to be here anymore? Like, I don't want my life to be like this. Like, I want to be good. I want to be happy. I want to share happiness with my family. And I just dropped down to my knees and I started crying. That's when I knew, like, God, please, like, save me.
That's how you know, like, that we all have that desire for God in us from birth. Because you didn't have that relationship with God or with Jesus, with anything. And so for you to reach that level of brokenness and be like, God, I need you. Like, I'm so broken and I need you to help me. That cry probably is what started your entire 180 for your life, which is crazy.
Yeah, and I think on another note too, like when we start healing, I think it starts with like recognizing patterns and stuff. You know, like things like, have you ever had that moment like when you recognize a pattern you had or something that was like, wow, this is something that's like kind of from the past?
I would.
That's a good question.
I think I have a lot of patterns. I had a lot of patterns, but the one for sure was kind of like victimizing myself. Like I knew people did things to me, but I would also victimize myself too much where I wouldn't even see my own fault. So I realized that pattern. I'm like, wait a minute, like let me just chill out for a second and then see other people's point of view.
Wow.
Yeah. That is a really important, that is a big aspect of it too, because if we're not humble enough to like actually realize things about ourselves and we're just like, nah, this is the way I am. Like if we do that to ourselves, like I don't think we're ever going to get healing. Right? Because we're going to have this like kind of blind over our eyes saying that we're fine, I'm good, I'm this way because of this or whatever. I'm just this way, I am, that's how I was raised. And that, if you have that, then I don't think healing can happen. Right? I think you need humility. You have to be able to like look back and like, or at least look at yourself and be like, this is actually something that has been a consistent pattern and it's not a good one.
Yeah.
Right? I need to actually do something about it.
Yeah, so because if you're blocking it, it's kind of like you're not allowing God to like work in you. You know? So it's like you're not even going to see the difference. You're not allowing God to like heal that and work through that. I
don't know why I had that point stuck in my head where it's like we have to kill pride in order to heal. Like if you want to get healed, you have to kill pride, right? You have to kill like this feeling of like no, I'm fine. Or another note, like just pushing it to the side. Yeah. Right? Which is, I think, which I want to say too, is like the easiest thing for us to do is to intentionally kind of forget everything, right? And like just not think about it, push to the side, put it in the back of our head and never deal with it. Right. Right. And so if we don't deal with it, what do? We distract ourselves. And that's a common thing that a lot of us do.
Why is it common though?
Because it's easier.
It's easier and it hurts less.
It's putting a Band-Aid on like something that's actually internal, right? You can't put if you need surgery, you need surgery. Yeah. You can't put a Band-Aid on like a thing and say, oh, I'm fine. Yeah. Like it's gonna cover the scar, but it's not gonna actually heal you. Right. So
I think, and you can probably testify to this, like when you're in the healing process, it's not fun. Like it's not like, oh, this is awesome. Like I feel so good. Like little by little, I'm feeling amazing. Like the healing process that God brings us through is like doing all the things that we really don't want to do, like forgiveness or like confrontation with the things that broke us in the first place, where it's like, bro, I'm just trying to leave it back there. Like, I don't want to deal with it. Like, that was the past. Like, let's not look back. And it's like, no, God's like, we have to look back because it's holding on to you by a thread or by a chain, like whatever it is. And so that's why it's so common and it's so easy to just be like, I'm out.
Whatever.
Like, just put it to the side. I'm not broken. I don't know what you're talking about. I think I'm good.
It's like not something intentional. Maybe like people just like, you know, whatever happened to them, they're just like whatever, and they go do their own thing unintentionally, like distract themselves unintentionally, putting it in the back of their head. And I think what happens is when it sparks up, right, when they get reminded of whatever it was, whenever they get reminded of it, they're like, okay, I'm gonna go to the thing that gives me comfort, right? Like, I'm gonna go to that thing, like when it sparks up.
Wow.
And if we keep on doing that, then healing is just like
something that stood out to me about what you said was the victimizing part, because I feel like that's also another common and easy thing to do. Is like, it's everybody else's fault. It's God's fault. It's the people's fault. Like, this has nothing to do with me, and that costed me a bit to learn too, and it goes with what you were talking about, pride, because I kind of grew up in a way where I didn't show as much love as my brothers did. Like, I wasn't as expressive about it. And so, that hurt my mom a bit, because I wasn't able to just be like, I love you all the time and give her hugs like my brothers were able to. And so, like, growing up, that kind of just became my norm. And it was like, oh, that's just who I am. Like, I'm like this. I'm not like my brothers that I can do that. And so that pride was kind of like, this is just who I am. That's it.
Yeah.
But when I was able to like open up about it and be like, you know what? God didn't create me in a way where I can't say I love you and I can't give hugs. Like, there's no way God made me like that. Yeah. If he's all loving, there's no shot. And so I was like, this clearly is something within me that I need to work on, and I need to like conquer and confront, because it's not normal. And so for me, I had to put my pride aside, and I had to be open and be like, okay, God, why am I like this? Yeah. This is not because I could be like, oh, I don't say I love you and I don't give my mom hugs because she yells at me all the time. Like, no, that would be victimizing myself. Yeah. And that doesn't make any sense. Wow. And so a lot of times it's really easy to blame the other person. Yeah. My life went 180 because of this other person, because they broke me, they did this, they did that. And it could be the truth. It probably is the truth. But a lot of times, and that's what's so cool about the faith and Jesus is there's so much self-denial. There's so much not pointing fingers but looking within. It's so much of, okay, what is going on in my heart that I need to work on? Because your healing process didn't involve everybody around you getting better or treating you any better or your environment changing. Like, no, the healing process was within you. And so your cry out to God is what started that healing process. Yeah. Because I don't know, I feel like so many times we think, okay, if I cry out to God, like, this person's going to stop being mean to me and this is going to get resolved and God's going to resolve all my problems. But the way God resolves it is by showing you and guiding you and helping you learn how you're going to confront these things and how you're going to react to these things. Because I bet you, towards, I don't want to say the end of your healing process, because we're all still in a current healing process, but I bet you there was a lot of times where similar situations happened to you, but you handled them totally different.
Completely different, yeah. I would say probably with my family and also in my relationship, I would get like triggers. I hate when people would say like certain words to me, and I would just shut down. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna just shut up. Like, I'm not even going to mention anything. But God showed me, like, where their heart is, in a way. It's like, okay, you're going through the healing. You kind of have to be a little bit more compassionate about them. Like, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're saying to you. Yeah. So once I understood that, I was able to kind of face it a little bit better. I'm like, all right, I understand. But then I'm also going to speak. I'm like, no, like, this is not right. Yeah. But I'm going to just pray about it.
Yeah. That's so cool. That reminds me, like, because for me, when I think about, like, okay, where I need to heal, like, God has brought me through healing, right? And more specifically with my dad, because, like, I had a past and, like, you know, and my parents split up and everything. So what I saw was that there was some internal bitterness in my heart, right? And you know what's crazy? Like, you really don't think, like, I can go the whole day, I can be having a good time with my friends, right? Chilling. I go home and, like, I hear one thing and there's like just, it's like a bomb. It's like just comes out of nowhere. And I'm like, why am I getting this mad over, like, something he said or something he did, right? And God really brought me through that. Like, God showed me, like look, like, I had to go into my past, basically, right? There was a moment where God guided me, like, in my thoughts, looking back at the past, at the things that I've seen, the things that I've seen, and he healed me in that. Wow. Like, I've seen that. He's brought me through it, and the Holy Spirit, one time, and I'll say this, like, the Holy Spirit guided me and told me to tell my father, like, hey, I forgive you. And so that, and what's cool is I look back at it now, where I am right now, and, like, that anger isn't as vivid. Like, that anger is not as intense as it was before.
So did you do that? You told him?
Yeah.
Okay, and what was his reaction to that? Was he like, what are you talking about?
It was, it was a little weird, but I think when I told him everything, he was like, okay, because I had the conversation with him prior, like, about, like, what happened and stuff, and I was telling him, like, being honest and stuff. So he was like, didn't we already have this conversation? I was like, yeah, kind of, but, and that started a conversation where it ended with him coming to the church more.
Wow.
Right, like, he said, like, you know what, I'll start coming a little more. Like, that was after, like, you know, a whole hour conversation. Yeah. But the Holy Spirit saw that, right? The Holy Spirit saw that. If I went up to him and told him this, that he would, you know, start coming a little more to church and everything. And so, like, God will guide us to do these things. Yeah. And I don't think that's very easy, right? To go up just, like, to something, like, randomly, hey, I forgive you.
Yeah.
Like, what? You know, and that experience can be completely different for a lot of people.
What's crazy is, for me, I find it easier outside of family stuff, like for forgiving people. And I always wonder, like, why is that the case? Like, shouldn't it be easier? Yeah. Shouldn't it be easier for you to be like, I forgive you to my brothers or to my family or to my parents, whatever it is? But I find it way easier doing it to my friends. Like, oh, I forgive you. Having deep, intimate conversations with my friends is much easier for me than to have it with my parents or with my brothers. So I always wondered why is that the case? But that's just a quick sidetrack.
I wondered that, like, the same thing too.
I think it's because they have deeper things. Like, I don't know, they've known you for way longer, I guess. Yeah. Could be okay. That. But wow. Yeah, that was, like, one example where, like, God did guide me, and now looking back, I can be like, wow, like, there's less anger, there's less this, like, there's more life here. There's more life in this relationship because of what I did, or I obeyed what God told me to do.
So was your trigger for healing that bomb that kept
it was more
up?
like, just like, why am I getting so angry? Like, I could be chilling the whole day, and then something happens and I get that mad. You know, it's like, why am I getting this mad? And then, like, I was just, you know, of course, with anger, like, you would be somewhere else and start thinking about the conversation. You think about what you're gonna say, and you know, there's a crowd around you, and everyone's like, yeah, yo, he's burning. Like, that's I would have
you say like those fake scenarios in your head,
all the perfect words, and everybody's like, yo, he's awesome, he destroyed it. Like, and of course, if that's like
people are coming out of nowhere clapping for you, throwing a party.
No. Things like, you know, just little things would get me mad, but eventually, you know, now I don't get as mad, you know. Okay. I'm like, why? What's the reason? I kind of settled this already. So, yeah.
How long do you feel like you're fully healed from that?
I think we all always need more healing, you know. I don't think so. I think that I've taken a big step. I've taken a lot of steps. And, you know, eventually in the future, I know, like, in a few years or whatever, I'll be like, I took even more steps. Wow. You know, so I think it's always a process. But I think the question is, are we willing? Because if we're not willing, then we're not going to see it. But I think if we are willing, then we're going to be having those hard conversations, those confrontational conversations, and doing the steps we need to do in order to be healed. Right. So I think that's the question: is are we willing to? Are you willing to have that conversation?
Speaking of steps, what steps did you take after that initial cry to God, where you were just like, I could just picture you just like, yo, I'm done. Like, I can't keep fighting. Like, I'm done, God. Like, I need you. So after that initial cry out to God, what were like the next few steps for you to continue in that healing process?
I would say finding the church. I was always like around. I drove around literally because I used to live with my sister, and I would drive around. I'm like looking for a Christian church, but nothing would really call out to me until I found the North Vineyard Church. Okay. And after that, I just started writing down my prayers, and I started praying more. I never even knew how to. I was just like, God, please, But that's kind of like my steps. And then I started confessing things to myself in a way. Like things I would kind of like before I wouldn't want to say it out loud. But I feel like maybe God allowed me to just like, you have to just say it out, scream it out to yourself if you have to. And once I was able to do that, then I'm like, all right, well, I'll continue this.
Yeah. How did you find the church?
Through Evelyn.
Evelyn? Yeah. Shout out to Evelyn. We've had her on the podcast.
We love her.
Yeah. So she brought you to the church.
She brought me to the church.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And from the first
was it like easy for you to do it?
I honestly believe so. It was so easy because like I said, I was so tired that I'm just leaving it to God. I was like, it gave me so much peace. Yeah. I'm like, okay, although I was still hurting because regardless, like our process is very ugly. But I just knew in the back of my mind, like I knew something was going to happen. Like there was a miracle or something was going to come out of this. Like I was going to be better.
The faith.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, what do you think's God's heart when it comes to healing and for people? Because I know with such a dark past for a lot of people, it's really easy to just be like, God's not seeing me, God's not hearing me, like God doesn't care about me. So what would you just say to somebody that's saying, why isn't God healing me? Why isn't God working in me?
Oh, that's hard. I used to be that same person. I'm like, why God? But honestly, I think it's just like the whole waiting period is tough because you're not going to see it right away. But he used my situation and someone else was going through it. So I saw him there. I saw how he was working through it. Although it was very, very ugly, I saw how he was in between it. How with the whole, like, let's say suicide thing, I had someone really close to me going through it at the same time. Wow. And I was telling them, I'm like, your life matters. You shouldn't do this. We love you and this and that. But I wasn't saying that to myself. But while I was kind of experiencing that, and I was heartbroken for what was happening to that person. It's like I felt God's heartbreak. So I think that's why I was like, I got down to my knees and I started crying because I felt God's love and I felt how he would feel if I were to go and do that.
Wow.
It's like he cries out for us all the time. Yeah. Like over the little things. Like his heart is so, so, so big and he just loves us all.
But I guess we just miss it.
We miss it all the time because we're distracted. Distracted by our past.
Because I once you become more aware of God and his love for us, you start to see the little details that he throws at us for us to go through that healing stage.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
To answer your question, like, when I think about that, I think about like how, God isn't gonna, like, as soon as I give my life to Jesus, I don't think God's gonna be like, all right, you actually have a problem with this in your heart. And like, obviously, like, he's not gonna just bombard me with like, yo, you have like a thing from the past you need to fix. Like right now, it's like, no, I was walking. And I think with God, it's like, as we're continuing to walk with him and stuff, like as we ask more questions, become more mature and stuff, like God would just like help, like whenever we're ready for it, right? Like when we're ready to look back. If I don't think, I don't know, a few years ago, I'd be able to look back and be like, oh, that's why. I'd probably look back like, okay, whatever.
Right.
But like now, through learning, through maturing, I think God knows when it's time to, look back, So that's what I think.
I have a verse in Luke 19:10. For the Son of Man came to seek and save those who are lost. It's a simple but very, very powerful verse.
Very powerful.
Because Jesus said it all the time when he came down and people were like, why are you healing these random people that these people that are begging in the streets, like nobody cares about them. Sometimes they would refer to the Gentiles as like dogs.
Yeah. Why are you sitting with those tax collectors, those
exactly.
black people?
And Jesus is like, I came to prioritize the people that are lost and that need that healing, that need to be saved. And so I think, once again, with a difficult upbringing, it's really difficult to see that kind of Jesus and see that kind of God, a God that cares about me and wants what's best for me. It's like, what are you talking about? What's best for me? Like, I'm living terrible right now. I'm broken. Like, what are you saying that you want what's best for me? And I can feel, like, saying that out loud, I can feel people's hearts crying that out, saying, who is this God that you're talking about? How am I going through all this? And you're saying God wants what's best for me, and God wants me to be saved, and God wants and prioritizes the lost. Like, I don't feel prioritized. Like, I don't feel like he sees me or pays attention to me. So what do you guys say to somebody with that cry in their heart?
Honestly, I feel like, well, at least for me, I feel like it's a distraction of what other people are saying or what they think of you, because your mind is being overclouded. Like, let's say someone tells you, oh, you're not good enough, you're not going to do this. Like, why are you just in your bed? You're a bum, this and this and that. And like, that really takes a toll on you. So then you start to see yourself as that, and you can't even see God's glory. You start to see like, oh, I can't even get up from bed today. Like, I don't want to, you're depressed. Because at least that's what happened with me. I had so many people say so many nasty things about me, and I started believing it. And I couldn't see God's glory in it. I couldn't even see, like, okay, so what are you healing? Like, what goodness is coming out of this? Like, I'm like this. My life is going nowhere.
Right.
Wow.
So definitely it has something to do with what you're intaking, like what you're allowing people to feed you with.
Okay. So do you think that's something that can halt your healing process?
It definitely can. I wouldn't say, like, stop it completely, because like you said, we heal every day and we don't notice it. But it can definitely trigger you into staying stuck in that one cycle and not seeing the better of it.
What did your healing process look like throughout all these last few years that you've been going through it? Like, what are things that God made you do? Maybe some personal examples, or something that he made you confront where you're just like, I really don't want to do this, but if this is what it takes for healing, like, let's do it.
There was a lot. But the most one that I needed to face was having a conversation with my ex-partner. And I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to see or hear what they had to say, because I kind of just like blocked it out. One day I'm like, I don't want to talk to this person, block them, and then completely gone. Like you said, you're running away from, instead of confronting it. But I felt like I needed that one step so I can at least move forward with my family, because it ruined my relationship with them. So I felt like if I did this, then I might be able to go and say sorry to my family. Like, I just need to let this out.
Wow.
That's intense.
Yeah, that is. Bro, like, God and his healing is amazing.
It's crazy. It's like a roller coaster, though.
It is.
One day you're fine, one day you're crying, the next day you're screaming like, okay, God, hold on. Yeah. Like, what are you doing through all of this? But
all right, so speaking of that, describe your life pre-Jesus and your life now after a long time of healing, or a good amount of time.
No. You want to expose me?
No. Here, do you want to start? What was your life pre-Jesus?
All right, sure. And
before healing?
No.
He said, oh, please, no.
Okay. Oh, man, I don't know, like, pre-Jesus? Well, it was just like, I think I was just running without any guidance. I was like, there was a sheep without a shepherd, I would say. I'm just doing my thing, like, friends around me. My friends would really impact me a lot. So, like, guys, like, whatever is going on, I'm just gonna be part of it. I don't really care. Like, there was no guidance. There was no goal to hit. There was no person I was trying to become.
I felt that.
There's just like, I'm just walking through this life, whatever, and like, whatever. So I think, like, that's how it was. Basically, just like I was walking, doing my stuff. High school, I think I shared it in the testimony episode. Like, high school is high school, pretty crazy. Like, that's why I did meet Jesus, but it was more like a tug of like, I love Jesus. He's really cool. Retreats are really cool. Having Christian friends is really cool. But then also partying is really cool. And like friends and all that's really cool. Yeah. So it was like a tug, Besides that, it was really just that. I was just doing my own thing, whatever, letting, like, kind of going with the crowd, going with the flow. And then it wasn't until I met Jesus that I kind of had that point of like, wow, this is real. This is life. This is satisfaction. And I want to hit that goal. Wow. Because that's actually life. Everything else I was doing was. That was that's the one thing I always, the topic I always preach about. Like,
nothing can fulfill you or satisfy you that except Jesus. And that's kind of that's like my main point of any time I share my testimony. It's like nothing else could really fill that. You know, it was just like distractions in my life.
I think for me it was the same thing. It was like kind of just wake up and live. Like, all right, I'm just here. Like, it's just another day. You know, I'm doing what I got to do. Whatever happens.
It's just crazy because we're used to that.
Yeah.
You think about like in the biblical times where like there was idols. You know, so it's got people were like there was this whole society thing like somebody has to lead us. Something has to lead me. I need to have a God. But now it's like everybody's like, yeah, I don't need a God. Yeah. But before it was like there was a God. Whether it was the real one or what, it wasn't like somebody they were worshiping something. Right. Of course, same thing here, but it's like
in a different way.
Yeah.
I feel you. Yeah, but for me there was a lot of brokenness, and not having that purpose that you talked about led me to like some depression, where it's like, you know, I'm just waking up and I don't want to do anything. I don't feel like, you know, hanging out. I just want to stay in my room and do nothing. And I remember telling Frazier, my best friend, I was like, I have nothing to look forward to. Like, I don't have any personal stuff. I don't know who I'm aiming towards. Like, I was starting, you know, my career thing, but I was like, I don't really want to do this. Like, I don't know what I want to do. Like, I'm done. Like, you know, there was just nothing to look forward to. And when I really focused in on my relationship with Jesus, like full 180, like every day I'm waking up going, whoa, I got something to look forward to. You know what I'm saying? And it's really, really beautiful when God puts you through that healing process. And like you said, it's a roller coaster. There's a lot of scares. There's a lot of like, I might fall off this roller coaster. I might like, sometimes you're like, get me off this thing. This hurts too much, because the healing process is not nice. It's not fun. It's tearing down foundations that we built throughout the whole life before Jesus. And so God's like, we have to tear these down because this is no good.
Like, we need to under.
Exactly.
I can kind of relate to you guys. Okay. Like I was always a shy girl. Like I would never speak up, but I was always sad. Hey, that's not nice. I would
flame him in the comments.
Now,
come on, flame him in the comments for disrespecting her. No, you can disrespect me, not our guests. Come on now.
You just made me lose my train of thought.
Look what
now you're gonna have to talk for me.
Look what you did. The people were about to receive some wisdom. Now they're upset because you stopped.
No, you look back at me. She was talking, but she didn't even realize that you had to make it a big deal. All right.
Okay, guys. All right.
So the basket is going up right now.
We need to find everybody. We need to pray for Lewis and his healing. Anyway, is your train back on?
Is your train back on thought?
My train is back on thought.
Okay, nice.
A little bit. Nice. But yeah, I can relate a lot. Like I felt so lost and I felt so sad and I didn't feel seen. Yeah. So I was kind of always just to myself. I wasn't with people, and you know how sometimes like God calls you to be with people, you know, fellowship and everything. So I would just be angry, but not show it. As you guys know me. I don't show anger. Yeah. I don't speak too loud. I don't scream. But it was kind of like I would literally walk up and leave.
Like I'm terrified that she'll just walk out of this podcast right now and just leave. She's gonna grab the keys and be like, I'm out. I'm done.
No, but I was more selfish. Like I wasn't thinking about someone else's feelings, and that's how I started hurting my family and my friends. But then, you know, once I experienced God, I started realizing my own faults. Like, oh girl, like hold on, you know, you're victimizing yourself. Yeah. You did this to this person, like, you know. So it was pretty hard. I didn't want to see that of myself. I was like, okay, like I guess. Because you know when you have people telling you like constantly like, oh, you're this, you're that, and you're just getting angry like, no, like I'm not that, but like you got it. Yeah. But then after like once God actually shows you like you did do that wrong, like you were wrong in that situation, bro, that's where I'm just like, no.
Quick humbling.
The biggest humble.
Healing needs humility. Like, it's a requirement, and it's a requirement for healing. So,
but also you have to kind of like be willing to surrender and accept God's help, because not a lot of people do that. They just want to go about it their own way.
Yeah. There's like a lot of people listening right now. Either they're like they know they need healing and they know what it is. Maybe some people that are listening don't even know if they need it. Like maybe right now like you're being reminded of things, or maybe there are things that do affect you. And like they come up like in little sparks, right? But you just push to the side, and maybe God is kind of reminding you of that. Yeah. And like you need to start that process, right? Maybe it's like a call, I feel, you know, because this definitely like the purpose of this episode is like for you, you know, just to hear the call of like, yo, let's start going back and breaking down these chains, breaking down these things that's been holding you back and has been affecting you for so many years. It's time to heal.
I have this beautiful Psalms this is David just crying out at this point, like to God. And it reminded me a lot when you described your testimony of you know, your cry to God. It's Psalms 143. Hear my prayer, O Lord, listen to my plea. Answer me because you are faithful and righteous. Don't put your servant on trial, for no one is innocent before you. My enemy has chased me. He has knocked me to the ground and forces me to live in darkness like those in the grave. I am losing all hope. I am paralyzed with fear. I remember the days of old. I ponder all your great works and think about what you have done. I lift my hands to you in prayer. I thirst for you as parched land thirsts for rain. Come quickly, Lord, and answer me, for my depression deepens. Don't turn away from me, or I will die. Let me hear of your unfailing love each morning, for I am trusting you. Show me where to walk, for I give myself to you. Rescue me from my enemies, Lord. I run to you to hide me. Teach me to do your will, for you are my God. May your gracious spirit lead me forward on firm footing. For the glory of your name, O Lord, preserve my life. Because of your faithfulness, bring me out of this distress. In your unfailing love, silence all my enemies and destroy all my foes.
I'm sorry.
Crazy. She just interrupted me with one line left.
I'm sorry. I was trying to hold it. I was trying to hold it.
Everybody was feeling the Psalms. God. Like, this Psalm is amazing.
I'm sorry.
You just jump scared like, oh,
I'm so sorry.
Everybody was like in their feels.
Everybody was like, oh.
I had a tickle in my throat.
Crazy. The last part is just, and destroy all my foes, for I am your servant. But what a freaking Psalms, bro. He just goes off and he's saying, God, my enemies destroyed me. They're putting me to the ground. They're kicking me. I'm in darkness. Come save me before I die. Like, I need you. And his cry to God is so powerful. So powerful, because as I was reading it, I felt so many hearts crying out the same exact cry. Wow. Where it's like, God, my depression deepens. I need you so that I can walk in your will, because I know you are faithful. I know your promises. I know that you want us to feel loved and comfort and courage and boldness and energy and just feel your spirit like daily. Because listen, for a lot of you, like, it's not normal. It's not normal to be in this brokenness. God does not want you to live in this brokenness. There is no need for you to put it to the side and just deal with it. It's not something that God just wants you to live with for the rest of your life. And so, like, this episode, I just wanted to serve as an encouragement for people to open your hearts, put your pride aside and say, God, I need this healing. I don't want to live like this anymore. There is no need for me to live like this. If I'm your child, you as a loving father would not let me live in this distress and in this suffering and pain. And so I just want you guys to remember, it is not normal. This pain isn't normal. We're supposed to wake up and feel joy and feel love and feel peace and excitement for what's to come. And so it's like, okay, God, I need you, and I need you to show me how I'm going to get to that place. Because it's a process. It's not overnight where we just wake up and we're like, this is awesome. Like, God, wow, you did it. Like, no. Like, this healing process is long and it's painful. But when you get to it, it's beautiful and you won't regret a single thing. And I bet you, with everything that I own, that you would not go back to how you used to live.
No.
And as hard as your healing process was, you were like, I would do it again if it means for me to get to the place that you are now. And I bet you're even though you know it's hard, you're excited for even more healing, for God to bring you into even greener grass and even more beautiful of a sun. Like, and so it's really exciting. It's exciting. And I really encourage everybody listening, like, we need to stop halting that healing process, because we halt it within us. You know, we might say, yeah, I want healing, but if you're not taking any steps towards healing, God can't work through that. God needs you to play your part too. He's not going to change all of your surroundings. He's going to change you and how you're going to handle all your surroundings. And so I really encourage everybody to really cry out to God for that healing process, so we can, get started with that.
I think one thing that's really important is allowing yourself to be vulnerable and like allowing yourself to cry, because not a lot of people want to show their emotion, but sometimes you just have to let it out. Like, you have to feel your emotions out so you know what's hurting you, like, you know, how you're feeling towards the situation. So then you're able to identify that and then move forward. Like, pray about it. You already know what it is. Pray on it and then just keep moving forward, knowing that God's going to, like, heal that. Continue to work in that.
Did you do that on your own, like, by yourself, or were you expressing yourself to other people?
I was doing it on my own, and then I was also expressing myself to my best friend, because she also, she walked in the faith first than me. So I went to her for a lot of guidance, and it helped me a lot, because although I could have went to my friends, it was very worldly opinions and, you know, thoughts that it was just destructive for me. So I knew if I were to do something like that, then, you know, I'll be right back to the same cycle.
I have this list for people, for just steps to trusting God with your healing. Seek God first, just like the verse. Seek God. Release control. We need to just God, I don't want this anymore. Here you go. A way when I was a child, they used to describe it as us carrying like a big bag of bricks, and then Jesus the whole time's like, hey, let me carry it for you. And you're like, nah, I got this. And you're like going uphill with this bag of bricks. And you're like, yo, God, why aren't you helping me? God's like, yo, I've been asking you if you want me to carry it for you. And so when you release control, you're like, okay, God, here's the bag, because you're infinitely stronger and more willing to carry this bag for me. And so when you finally release that burden, it's freeing. It's like you can actually breathe now. You can actually walk up this hill normally without all this weight on you. And so that's what release control looks like. Surrender to God, choose faith, seek support, practice patience, and take action. All those things are a process and how you're going to start this healing process.
Yeah. So I was just about to ask, like, okay, what are the steps? And just said, but like something that David said in that song was that I run to you, I run to you, God, to hide, right? Like I find my hiding in you. And so it's like, I think for healing too, we have to recognize, what are we running to besides God, right? Because that's what we do. If we don't run to him, we run to something else. So that's one step. And also, if, like I always say, just add on to that, I think the first step is, like I was saying, humility. Like just have the humble heart, like to look back. We're not perfect. Yeah, we're not perfect. Second thing is, like, see what the things are that are kind of distracting you, that you've been using, like how, like, devices, whatever you've been using to, like, you know, make you not think about that. It's crazy because we're kind of going from, like, I don't want to see it to now I have to see it. Right. Like, oh, like, I don't want to look at this. I'm going to keep looking at this. I'm going to get my counterfeit comfort from whatever it is I'm going to get comfort from that's not from God. But now it's like this whole switcheroo where it's like, no, you actually have to look back.
Would you guys say most of your healing was from confronting those things?
For sure.
Yeah, I think, yeah. And just like asking God, like, Lord, show me. Like, show me why I am this way. What happened in my past that made me the way I am. Like, show me. Like, and he will. Yeah. I say it, he showed me. Right? It's beautiful. So, yeah, you gotta say that.
All right. What are ways that you guys are protecting your heart right now in this broken world? Because we can't escape this broken world and broken people around us. And sometimes those broken people will bleed on us and cause us to and need a healing process again. So what are ways, now that you know Jesus, now that you've been through healing process, what are ways that you're protecting and guarding your heart to avoid as much brokenness as you can, I guess, if you wanted to word it that way?
Run to God for everything.
Okay.
That's literally it. That's all I've been doing. That's all. I think it's all you can do. Okay. Like, run to God to anything, and then also run to wise counsel. Run to. There's also something too, right? Like, we first, like, with this process, right? We confess or everything. Like, God, like, you know, take that moment. What I see is, like, take the moment, go into your room, close the door, right? Lock it, whatever. Like, pray to God. Like, start saying the things that have hurt you. Like, start saying, God, this happened to me and I hated it and this hurt you so much, and start just confessing that to God. Right. And then when you have the courage and when you feel like you're ready, or maybe when God tells you to, I think share it with somebody. Like somebody safe, somebody you know that can hear what you have to say. Maybe somebody, like, you know, wiser, like, or just a friend, whoever it is. Like, I think like share. I think there's a lot of freedom in that too. Like saying how you feel. But yeah, what was it?
How are
I think he lost his train of thought.
Is your train back on thought?
Yeah, we'll train back on thought.
All right. What are ways that you're protecting your heart right now?
getting out, running to God.
Running to God.
Literally anything. It's like, God, I need help. Like, please, I need help.
Have you seen like the benefit of that, where it's like, I could have been really broken right now if I didn't do what God told me?
Well, yeah, 100%. You just look back. After a while, you look back and you're like, oh, that's why.
That's why you didn't want me to do that.
Even though I really wanted to do that.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
Running to God and also running to friends. Like, and then also wise counsel. People older, people wiser. You know.
And that's something that I describe to people a lot is, you know, you'll hear a lot of people of this world say, like, just do whatever makes you happy in the moment. Mm-hmm. And us as Christians, we know, don't do that. Don't do that. Because as nice as it sounds, where it's like, I want to be happy, so I'll do whatever makes me happy in the moment. It's like, no, because then you're going to be in some really deep brokenness, some really bad things, and you're going to feel really terrible for just that little moment that your flesh wanted to do something that you thought would make you happy. And so God, and that's what the whole Bible is for, is like God protecting us from needing so much of that healing process. It's okay, this is how you're going to think, act, you know, renew your mind, transform your heart, all of that, or renew your, did I say that right? Renew your heart? No, renew your mind, transform your heart. My bad. But that God says all that so that we can avoid. Yo, guys, chill. Yo, you guys not letting me focus. My train is off thought now because of you guys. Anyway, what's your answer to that question? How are you protecting your heart right now?
Definitely what Lewis said, running to God.
Okay.
But also being very wise with what I'm intaking. And because I struggle a lot with allowing people say things about me, and then I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I see that. So
yeah,
I definitely guard myself. Like, let's say if I'm having a conversation with someone and they're saying all these wild things, in the background I'm like, God, rebuke it. Like rebuke it in Jesus' name. But definitely just being wise with the conversations that I do have. So then later on, like, someone can't say like, oh, well, you said this, you said that. I'm like, no, I didn't. Like, I'm gonna just wait on God, see what he has to say about the situation, and then I'll go about it.
I think the intaking thing is huge, dude. It's very huge because your Instagram algorithm reflects how you're feeling in the moment, and you're gonna get so many voices and so many opinions. And the thing is, most of the opinions are not loving and are not God's way. And so a lot of it's like, you know, ignore them, ghost them, don't ever talk to them, block them. And you're like, yeah, I'm going to do that. And then you're just like, this doesn't feel right. Especially as a follower of Jesus. It's like, that's not what Jesus would do. And so the intaking for me is huge. It's huge because it's okay, what am I listening to? And the thing is, it could get dangerous because we put a lot of trust in our friends, in our Christian friends, and so sometimes we need to be very careful with what we're intaking from them too, because that's the thing, they can also be broken, and it's not that they're doing it out of evil intent. Is that, let's say I'm asking you for advice, but you're in the middle of the deepest healing process of your life. Like, you're gonna be like, yeah, do this. I'm gonna be like, yeah, you're right. And because you follow Jesus, I'm gonna listen to you. And that could be dangerous, and that could lead me into needing healing process, and it's gonna be a huge ripple effect. And so every time you're getting advice or an opinion from somebody, you need to triple, quadruple check it with God. Like, yo, God, is this something that
scripture,
all of it,
and stay prayed up. I feel like that's the one thing that you cannot forget. It's just prayer. You always got to pray about it. Any situation, even if you're going to the corner store, pray about it. Like, anywhere, God, pray about it. God, should I go?
God, what should I do? No, and I felt that because if I go 1 week without prayer or without reading the word, like, I feel myself already like going deep into like brokenness, and I'm like, whoa, what just happened? You know? And so being prayed up, Bibled up, spirited up, whatever you want to call it.
Fellowship up.
Yeah. Dang. What'd she just say? What'd she just say?
I first fellowship. Oh, you guys.
Ooh. We'll ask the comment section. You guys will be the judge if she says something
This is the holy ground. I don't know what your mind is.
Hey,
listen. Whatever. Hey, I'm gonna walk out.
I know she's new around here, but like, I don't know if she knows the rules.
I said fellowship. Fellowship.
Fellowship up. That's what you said though. See how wild that can get really fast?
Yeah, it can get a little bit.
Yeah. But no, this conversation was amazing. This conversation was amazing, and I really hope that everybody listening felt encouraged. And if you're feeling really down, really discouraged, out of energy, out of just desire, we will definitely be praying for you. And you guys can DM any of us, and we'll definitely be praying for you. And I hope that some of these tips and advice and our own personal testimony helped you guys out to desire that healing.
And just so you know, we're like just getting started. We're not like professional at this. I need a lot of healing.
Oh yes, you do.
Bunch.
Yes, you do.
Hey, listen.
I need healing. You guys saw that? That was an example of my brokenness. There you go. You see, and so that was just me demonstrating to you guys that we're on this journey with you. We're also going through the healing, and so yeah, don't give me that face. You need.
Hey, you know what? Hey,
we're expressing our true brokenness right now.
Hey,
what? Apologize right now. Just kidding. We appreciate you guys tuning in, whether you're listening on Spotify, or you're watching us on YouTube. We love you, and we thank you, Caro, for joining us for this episode.
Carolyn Ping Pong.
I loved it.
And we'll see you
like
guys.
A Danny.
We'll see you. Yes, that's how we do the heart. It's like just
we show love.
Hands. Yeah. Because the heart's too big to actually do the shape. Whatever. We'll see you guys for the next episode. We love you, and peace out.
Peace.